peace. I am SHU AMUN RA. Welcome to third class. And brothers and sisters, kings and queens, gods and goddesses, and the class is the black man and the black woman. Should they date in the melanin race, other melanin people in the melanin race? And does language have a problem? Now, I know the title is kind of strange and it throws you off, but I gotta go to the root. What happened to the black man? See, that title is old. What happened to the black man and the black woman? So what I did was I flipped the script a little bit, because I gotta go inside to find out what happened to the black man and the black woman. Why they don't want to even... Dating process is become a ritual. Like, you gotta have a ritual to find you a mate. Literally. So we gotta get to the bottom line. Why? What's going on? We're reading from this book of SHU Ali, The Black Woman's Guide to Understand the Black Man. And we need to know, and we will find out information, and I'm cross-referencing with some of the DVDs. I mean, not DVDs, but some of these videos. I am contrasting these two together. Cross-reference, if you will. So, gods and goddesses, kings and queens, further ado, let's get into this book. I say it and I'll say it again. Get your pencils or pens. Make sure you have your paper. Notes is being written even as I speak. Why? Because information is valuable, and when you put information on the paper, you won't forget. All right, now let's get into the Black Woman's Guide to Understand the Black Man. Now, in part 2, we was discussing about how and what influenced the young black male when he's a child. Now, a lot of the characters that you heard me stated, a lot of you are not familiar with those. All you got to do is use common sense and put in your own characters, because ain't none of you heard of know that, especially in your 20s or 30s who's watching this program, heard of Howdy Doody. You ain't heard of Humpty Bogart unless you watching classical theater or classical movies. But I'm over sure a lot of you not. So you use the Chris Browns and the Jay-Z's and the Beyonce and Carly B and all these other people and put them in their places. Use your common sense. Use your common sense when you do it. Now, I know you got movie stars like Denzel, Jamie Foxx. You got Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, and many others, that you can use instead of the names I use, because the names that was read in this book, because this book it's got years on it, and I know all these guys because I was born in the 60s, and I used to watch these programs on TV, and when my father used to take us to the movies. So this is why I understand. So you use your common sense. If you're having a problem, following because of the names that is being told in this book, use your imagination and start putting pictures in your own mind. That's why I use Denzel Washington and Malcolm X, to use it as a representation like that, because I know a lot of you are not familiar with Humpty Bogart and all these other great names and some of these movies that were told. Now, dealing with a family structure is very important. I stated this before, and I'll say it again. It's very important having a family structure. And what we want to do is read a little bit more. Now, I know some of you are not familiar with Marilyn Monroe, Debbie Rollins. I know you ain't familiar with Doris Day. I know you ain't familiar with Rock Hudson and Elvis Presley. I know you're not. But that's what's in the book. So if you had the book, you will be able to follow me. Those who don't got the book, you have to listen, but use your common sense and exchange the names into modern names that's in Hollywood that you can use to identify. Or get the book. Now, I want to get why black people was feared. Fear, F-E-A-R. Yes, fear. Because white folks in those days would kill you. They still do it today. But when I was coming up and you went to the South, hanging black people was like, how can I say? It was an occurrence that happened and nobody was like, oh my God, look, another nigger's been hanged. Excuse my language. Nah, they would come in thousands. That nigger's being hanged today. And what was crazy is black people, black men, didn't form a little army, get their guns, and start trying to kill some of these people. Now I know what you're hearing is, you're going, what the hell is he talking about? So you tell me that it's all right to grab a man off the street, ask him questions. You ain't got nothing to do with the law. But the law is there. Yeah. The sheriff was there with his deputies, snatch your ass up, start claiming that you did something, and you were nowhere around. Then they gonna go, well, you the unlucky nigga, walk you into the woods, beat you half to death, and then what was so stunning was sometimes you had other blacks who seen that, watched it, watched this gruesome thing take place. Now they went back and told their family members, but did their family members decide to tell their community what's going on? And shall we take arms and get prepared for war? Of course they did. But then you had that preacher. You had that nigga preacher. Yeah, I'm saying it. Who would sit there and go, God, that's not the way to do it. God told us to be passive. Come on, congregation. Let's pray. Blah, 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 blah. You want to know how I know? Because I heard it. No violence, right? Martin Luther King used to preach that all the time. Non-violence. How the fuck you gonna have non-violence and them motherfuckers is coming to you, bashing you over the head, sicking wild-ass animals? Oh, you think I'm lying? I'm gonna show you the video. Then we're gonna read this book. Let me get to the video. Since you think this is a lie, this is why a lot of our people have fear. I'm gonna show you how our men got all this hatred inside them, all this hate. But in reality, You're scared to die for what you believe in. Because you want to live. And it's understandable. But you ain't gonna live forever. Now you're gonna live and be satisfied how shit is, because white folks ain't really messing with us. Only a few of us get picked off. Or die as a man. Die as a man. But let me get to that video.
Martin Luther King Jr. came to Birmingham, Alabama in 1963 on a mission to a place he called the most segregated city in the United States.
To dramatize this blatant injustice and to demand that the federal government not put a cent in this city unless it decides to face the realities of desegregation.
In the nonviolent demonstrations that followed, King and hundreds of protesters were arrested. They were pressing the city to eliminate laws that sought to keep blacks and whites separated in schools, restaurants, and many other public places. Historian Robert Corley says King and the local civil rights leaders needed this strategy to succeed.
There had been no movement whatsoever in this city toward any form of desegregation of any of its institutions. And so King was saying, if we can win in Birmingham, if we can come to Birmingham and prevail, then we can win anywhere.
King and his followers were met with fierce resistance from the police. Public Safety Commissioner Eugene Bull Connor, backed by the majority of white residents, was determined to stop the demonstrations. Without enough volunteers to continue the protests, King and other leaders enlisted hundreds of young school children to keep the marches going and fill up the jails. The young African-American student protesters would gather here on the steps of the 16th Street Baptist Church and hear inspirational speeches from civil rights leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They would then file from the church and walk across the street to a park where they were determined to demonstrate peacefully for equal rights.
I was arrested after we got about a block away from the church in this area.
Janice Kelsey was 16 years old when she and her schoolmates were jailed.
My mind was made up. I was going to participate. I was going to go to jail. I wanted to get my freedom.
Then on the second day of the student demonstrations, things turned violent. Police turned high-pressure fire hoses on the young people and set attack dogs on them. Birmingham civil rights leader Reverend Calvin Woods was there.
There had been some dog biting, some beating, some killing. Many people were beaten and spit on and put in jail, lost jobs. But those were minor things compared to what we felt we had to do.
The brutal crackdown was widely televised, and images of the event were seen around the world. Robert Corley says this incident galvanized new support for the civil rights movement.
It was really that children's crusade that really turned the tide, because it did serve the goal of filling up the jails and forcing the white community to come to the table with King and negotiate some sort of settlement.
Eventually, King and Birmingham city leaders reached an agreement. Within months, the local segregation laws were abolished. Reverend Woods says King's determination to keep the movement going made all the difference.
We would not have accomplished what we did if it had not been for the support and leadership that Dr. King brought.
The Birmingham campaign was a climactic battle of the civil rights movement. For many, it stands as an iconic symbol of the sacrifices made by King and thousands of African Americans. Chris Simpkins, VOA News, Birmingham, Alabama.
So, I hope that video gave you an eye awakening, rude awakening, some kind of awakening, because this evidence, you just gotta go get it. You just gotta go get it. You gotta research. And I'm telling you, I got all my stuff here. I got my laptops, my pads, all my computers right in front of me. And majority of the time, what happens is I already be doing my research before the week, so I already know how to just go right into it and get what I need to get. So now understand, some of y'all sitting there go, well, why are you showing us that? It's supposed to be about dating other melanin races, because the reason why I'm showing you this is because you see what our ancestors had to go through. You see why there was a lot of fear. White folks had no problem trying to kill you. Understand? But those days, black people believed in what they believe in. Sacrifice needed to be made to get justice. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Some people believe that segregation should never happen because was it a boomerang effect, if you will? My opinion, I think it should have never happened. We should have stayed in our own schools, because the children's children now had to live through that. Being harassed, calling nigger, blackie, all kind of stuff. Children's children. Because now you want to be segregation, you want to put everybody together. Now, these people had children. Now they children going to these schools. Now also what you get is, you getting the mixture between the male black man and the white female. Now they're around each other. The white male and the black female, now they're around each other with ease. What you think is going to happen? Sooner or later. Sexual attention. Oh, see, that's why I wanted to slowly flow and guide you into this thing here. You won't get sexual attention from these females. Because some females are curious. I'm curious. Some of the males, I'm curious. Huh? But let's get into the book and read the book real quick. Talking about the South. You got your book, right? In the South, the difference between him and the other race were more pronounced, and he was instructed and reminded with the public signs that not only was he unliked, but he to move with had to move about in the world carefully. Even to this day, you got a little more space to walk around, but let's don't get it twisted. You still gotta be careful. Don't get it twisted. Because if you ain't using your common sense, you got 5 to 10 police officers around you. Tell me why you gonna jump around talking about I know my rights. I know my rights. You can't tell me shit. Get out of my face. And you by yourself? Another thing. I gotta put it in here. How a lot of our black men is being, you letting that pride mess you up. You letting that pride get you killed. You got you and your homeboy, and your homeboy is videotaping you being killed because you got pulled over? And you talking about, I ain't going out like that. I'm not a sucker. Excuse me? I just showed you video what black people done when it was hundreds of them who sacrificed themselves for segregation to entwine in these schools. And you see what happened in the video. But you want to be out here talking about you ain't no sucker, and it's 10 of them fucking police officers your homies videotaping you getting your head rocked. Then your daughters and your sons, they got to come look at you in the hospital because you can't fucking eat. You gotta suck food through a straw. Is that using your head? Excuse my foul language. Huh? You dying for a cause that doesn't make no sense. Get out the freaking car. Give them your driver's license. You know if you see one with their hands on their gun, don't make no moves. You are by yourself. Now, here's another scenario. And this is a choice. Before I read this book. You're in a car with your family, right? And you obeying the law. And the police decide to disrespect you and your family by coming up there and doing shit that they ain't supposed to be doing. That's when you die. You die, go the fuck off, so your family will know what you stand for. Because trust me, you will live forever. You will live forever. I don't care what y'all saying right now. Because there's a video that a guy was fighting 4 police officers because one of the police officers put his hands on his wife. Let me see, do I got time? Let me find that video. So you thought I was lying? And you see the cop on top of him trying to choke him the fuck out. Excuse my foul language. Huh? That's when you make the choice, yo. You tasing my wife, you hurt my wife? You hurt my family? Then you're gonna have to kill me. Point blank. Ain't no need to second thought that shit. Cause if you don't, your wife will never look at you like that again. Even if you're in a hospital paralyzed and you dead, she will never, ever forget what you've done. She would know and tell the world that you have sacrificed your life for real. For real. Understand that now. So you want to fucking die because you ain't bring out your driver's license. Huh? Hold on for a second. Hold on. So they pull you over and they go, show me your driver's license. Yes, officer. And then they ask you for your other identification to show that the vehicle is yours. They ask you, do you have a car? Do you have a weapon? And so on and so forth. Comply. Positivity, because the whole object is for you to get home. I'm gonna give you a small story that happened to me last year. That's why I can relate. A friend of mine was driving me back to Brooklyn because there was a bicycle race going on Sunday. And we was at work. So I knew where my car was at because they had put my car on a flatbed. They put it like 2 or 3 blocks away. So I already knew where it was at. So my friend of mine drove me to the destination. Now, before we got to the destination, I had forgot what street the car was at. So I called the police officer over. He comes over with a fucked up attitude. Excuse my French. he comes with an attitude, and I seen it in his eyes and his body movement. He puts his hands towards his gun. Mind you, I'm in a Range Rover. Well, my friend who drives a Range Rover, but he ain't give a fuck. He seen two black men. He puts his hand on his gun and asks me, excuse my foul language, his words. He says, "What the hell you want?" So what I did was, my instinct was to get angry and say, "Fuck you." But no. Common sense took over, and I did like this. I looked at him and I just looked at him, didn't say a word. Then I said something like, "Forget about him, let's just go. He don't want to help us." But I said that out loud so he can hear that. I said, "He don't want to hear us. He don't want to help us. Thank you very much." So then he said, "I'm sorry." He says, "Can I help you?" Then I looked back at him and said, "Well, yes, I needed to know where my car was at because they moved it, so on and so forth." So he says, "So-and-so, this street is over here, make a right, and there's the street. We got the car, we safe, we good." You see the difference? How you deal with it? You got a family you got to go home to. And if you ain't got a family, you got your brothers and sisters. If you ain't got your brothers and sisters, you got your friends. So the reason why I'm showing you all these different kind of videos, yes, the headline is some of a black man and black woman dating, but it's reasons why they don't date. All these different things is going on. Segregation, was it right? Was it the perfect thing to do? To have the blacks and the white male, female together? Nah, I don't think so. My opinion. Malcolm X didn't believe that. And I'm gonna tell you something. After a while, Martin Luther King didn't believe it either. He started seeing what was happening after they segregated, they put people together. How white folks went up levels of destruction, bombing churches, so on and so forth. Bring up the level of hanging more black folks. Well, let me tell you something real quick. You seen when that brother was fighting those cops by himself? You notice none of the other brothers helped him out. They going, "Oh shit, look at this, oh shit." But none of them crossed over to help that man. None of them. Get what I'm saying? This is what we become. But then I show you a video of Martin Luther King had hundreds of kids, and clearly she said, "I believe in my freedom." She was prepared. Whatever was going to happen. Oh, not like we got here in 2018. And nah, we got video. You gonna take this ass whooping, but I'm gonna be videotaping you. Really? Really? And then you go through this whole fucking process, and the police officers, these abusive police officers, get over. Let me read let me read a little bit more. One of the main reasons he was taught to read was so that he did not accidentally go into the wrong door, drink from the wrong public water fountain, or get caught in certain areas after sunset. His mother taught him to fear and be extra polite to whites as a way to protect himself, and she warned him of improper conduct, especially around white women and little white girls. He was taught to lower his eyes and never look them directly in their face, to remove his hat when addressed by them, and never walk too close beside or in front of them, lest he be charged with being disrespectful. Brothers and sisters, we don't live in that time, but if you walk around with some white folks, especially females, they gonna always feel uncomfortable around you. But you know what? I'm SHU AMUN RA. We get knee deep in here. I know you ain't expect that. See you in the fourth one.